The movie begins by showing us the protagonist Alice, who works at Rebelle magazine, was a bit demanding with the workers. She wanted every detail of the cover to be perfect. At that time, he was in Brazil, and he took a quick flight back to his country. On the plane we see this man named Balthazar. Since he did not have a seat, they gave him one next to the blonde. After a while, she wanted to work a little without paying attention to her companion, who wanted to reassure her when she began to see turbulence. The thing was not good at all. It seems that they were going to die, but somehow they managed to get to the airport. Alice said goodbye to the nice guy and didn't see that her unit was forgotten. That's why Balthazar wanted to return it to her. She greeted her daughter and got into the car. Balthazar did not arrive on time, at least his father was taking him. Along the way his sister was trying to find him a partner. He did not see her well as being single, and the other was not interested in meeting anyone for now. She returned to work to resume her responsibilities to see if his people had done things right. She entered her boss's office to claim him because she had given her job to that crazy woman. He said that she was a great woman, she did everything, and she was married 3 times in short. The almost 40-year-old woman felt very bad. She had made an effort a lot, and out of nowhere, they bankrolled her for having lost the vibe that the magazine required. In her house, she received a visit from Yulen, her ex-husband, who in the morning took their daughter together for a motorcycle ride. After that, Alice saw a note from Mr. Rafil. She called that contact and found out that it was Balthazar, who told her that he had his flash. They agreed to run into each other in a few minutes. The man was very excited to see her again. Very soon the blonde arrived at the bar where Balthazar was. She just wanted her object and go back for it. The young student didn't, and he told her that he didn't have it in his pocket, but at home, Alice, somewhat annoyed, had to go with him on his Hello Kitty motorcycle to his apartment, where some colleagues took some photos of him. Seeing the old woman having fun was not common. When they arrived at the site there, Balthazar found his father with his ex-girlfriend from school. He couldn't believe it. The old man showed the guest a commercial he did. She didn't know how to get out. She was wasting time. Balthazar couldn't find her thing in the room. It took her some time. At the exit she asked the adult if she wanted to have a coffee. One day Alice, seeing him nervous, told her she wasn't going out with young people and she left, breaking his heart as she had tried. The next day she saw her people acting strangely. She wanted to understand why they were staring at her. She asked the secretary what the joke was. Pauline showed it to her, a photo of Balthazar adjusting her helmet, a total misunderstanding. After Vincent, her boss congratulated her for having dared to do something new. He didn't want to hear the story of what really happened. His friend recommended that he continue with that boy. Maybe the director will give him his job back because he loved magic, fun, and fresh ideas. Alice thought about it in her apartment, that life no longer pleased her, but for the money, she could try it. In the morning she went to college dressed as the rebel everyone expected. She still had potential, she just lacked her attitude. Balthazar, with great surprise, saw her in the distance. She greeted him to come closer, and he did so without hesitation. The naughty blonde asked him to show her that small architecture school, and she invited him out that night. Balthazar answered him obviously. The journalist put on a black dress, took a taxi and went to that place where his partner was already waiting for him. No idea why he didn't dress better. He was making a fool of himself in front of everyone and he didn't realize it. A count in that, Clot, the organizer of that abstract art event, greeted his friend and asked the student for an opinion, and he told her bluntly. Alice almost died of embarrassment. He was very honest and he shouldn't have said that everything in there was a mess. After that, the blonde introduced her boy to the other colleagues, and he continued with the same good vibes as always. Lisa, the pretentious one, came up to bother them. Alice dispatched her without problems, and at the bottom her sister called for her to return quickly to meet Balthazar. Understanding the emergency that her girl had appendicitis helped her get a taxi, but she did not know what it was. A lie. Well, that was very chivalrous of him. Alice was flattered by her manner. Elizabeth apologized to Richard. Her sister was not usually so late. In a few minutes she showed up to have a meal with her better half, who told her that he was vegan. He only ate raw food, and the protagonist did not like her special tastes very much, and she tried in every possible way to make that awkward meeting to make it clear that she was not interested. After that she got ready to go out with the lucky guy again. They went to a fashion catwalk where Vincent was. She did it too for him to see her as she liked, with a boyfriend who helped a model who tripped. With that her partner achieved what she could not: attract the attention of her boss, who invited them to a drink at a club they went to. After the event the old man gave Balthazar a compliment. He was special and he was not ashamed to show his education. Alice didn't want Lisa to ruin that good vibe. She took her boyfriend dancing to avoid more false interrogations. It was a good move since her boss was still with them both. Balthazar understood that this was his moment. Some of his daughter's colleagues of Alice almost had her picture taken. She, more cunning, took him away from her, managing not to be discovered in full combustion. After a while, They arrived at the blonde's apartment. Balthazar wanted to kiss her but she didn't. He was very close to achieving that goal, but Balthazar, who forgot to tell him something, entered his apartment in a hurry. Alice opened the door for her and assured her that she shouldn't apologize for anything. She had a great time, and without telling her, Balthazar kissed her and got what she most expected. How did she do it? Not giving up. He liked his girlfriend a lot, and he was a determined man. In the morning, she asked him to leave her apartment, and the other agreed. He didn't want to bother her, but since it was raining too much, Alice allowed her to stay until the weather improved. She offered him breakfast, the atmosphere was quiet, and Balthazar wanted to read her book. Just that time her daughter arrived with her sister. When they found them like that, they did not understand the scene. The student withdrew without saying anything, and the blonde kissed him goodbye. She really liked the way she was and she didn't deserve to be so cruel to him, but later she saw some marks on the ground that led her to a package in which she had a player. When she turned it on, she heard Balthazar inviting her to get out of it. He arrived at the same time and took her on her pink motorcycle to have a good time. He had the face of an idiot, but he made the plays like a champion. Alice had never had such fun with any other grown man. They were all boring, and at night they confirmed one more filthy thing. They had made it. He had her in love. Then he asked her why she chose him. He was a nobody. She didn't answer him. In a meeting, he completely ignored what Lisa said. His ideas were bad. When she began to say hers, she caught the interest of those present and her boss. She was good and she made them realize that. She then told herself in front of the mirror that she couldn't go any further in that relationship. The dude was cool and everything, but she didn't suit him. At night he took her to a secret place. There they had a drink. Balthazar wanted to take her to the beach. Alice told him that he had better another time, and he confessed that he was crazy about her. She didn't care that she was so busy or that she has a daughter. The blonde told her to think about the future that she will waste if she continues with an adult woman. She asked him to stop seeing each other, and again she broke the poor man's heart. In the office, Vincent congratulated her on her article. She had blown up across the country. He let her know that he wanted to see the good Balthazar again, but she didn't. At her daughter's school, she found out that they leaked that video of her dogging her boyfriend. Julian scolded him for hanging out with a brat. He at least did it with a 30-year-old. Alice bristled at her cynicism. Meanwhile, Balthazar had to put up with her old pig, and she moved some things to move. He was very angry about what he had lost. Her father gave him immortal advice: take ginger daily to avoid migraines. Balthazar did not understand the concept very well. Alice at the magazine received an important old woman named Tracy, who was being exquisite. In a room, she was shown the project she was doing, and she told them that this model was fatal. If they did not change it from the cover, there was a table, and none of them liked it. Seeing Mr. Raphael, she loved his face different from hers. Alice didn't want to bring him to her job, but she had no choice. Her boss was going to fire her if she didn't. After that, she had to call the depressed man to let him know about that job. She didn't answer her phone. Her dad asked him if he was sick or something. Alice came to the apartment. He didn't want to receive her on those dates. He was smelling Luca. She helped him by handing him her shirt, and Balthazar politely let her in. In the living room, she saw what her boy had dedicated himself to. The old man pretended to be the drunk so he wouldn't think that his son was the one who was feeling bad. He saw it with pride, and he had a great father. After that, the two went to a cafeteria to talk about what they have done. Alice asked him for that favor, and the other did not accept. He knew that he was only using him. That day she did not lose her dignity from him. Alice didn't know how to deal with her boss, who was eager to see her model. The magazine photographer had already arrived and she was furiously waiting for him too. Suddenly the secretary told Alice that her boyfriend was at the entrance. He arrived in his father's sports car, but he wasn't too sure about doing that. He told her to have fun. First, they took him to cut his hair. Sim N asked him to please help them or they would be fired. Balthazar in Kenchero mode kissed the blonde in front of everyone, then made the best poses for the photographer. The boss loved the winning attitude. However, her four eyes were furious to see that that rookie couldn't do a good one. Balthazar, angrier than she, left that camp. Alice asked him to do it for her. The man, who was still very sad about how she used it, didn't want to know anything about her. Thus she withdrew from that site and everything planned was a disaster. Alice apologized to her boss, and he told her that she was fired from her. In the van, the models invited Balthazar to a party. He replied no thanks, it was wrong. The unemployed did not know what to do. She had nothing left but her daughter. With a lot of nostalgia, she listened to the recording of her ex again, which after all did appear on the cover. At night she wanted to call him to go out for a drink, but she better went to look for him at the university. In the cafeteria, his colleagues told him where he was. In a classroom, the teacher mistook her for a lecturer. and she very nervous and began to teach the concrete class. Balthazar saw her as she made a fool of herself since he did not know anything about her subject. He asked the teacher a question about whether she was sorry. She answered that she was. She couldn't stop thinking about him and how happy she was when they left. Face to face they couldn't resist anymore and they kissed each other for reconciliation. After that things were fine again, and Alice continued dating her beloved student. She even managed to publish the book that she had in her house and she did not dare to show it to the world. Like for that happy ending and comment if something similar has happened to you with someone older. The end. Thanks for watching.